What's going on, lovely people? It is another Thursday here at the Big O Belt Wrestling Podcast. Looks like it's just me and Silly Sellers tonight, but it is a big weekend here in the nation's capital. And we're going to talk all about it as all roads leads to John Cena's final match this Saturday. We're going to talk about that match. We're going to talk about legacy. And ultimately, we're just going to talk about the expectations for Washington D.C. You know, we got picked to be the landing spot for the final match. And we're going to talk about how we think the city is going to show up. All that and more in tonight's episode of the Big O Belt Wrestling Podcast. Let's get started, folks.
Big O Belt, Big O Belt, Big O Belt, Big O Belt. All I really want is that Big O Belt, Big O Belt, Big O Belt. All I really need is that Big O Belt.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Big O Belt Wrestling Podcast. We're getting close to the end of the year, which means we're getting close to the end of the season, and it seems like all roads are leading to the end of the road of things. And most importantly, we are getting just 2 more days to John Cena's final match here in Washington, D.C. for Saturday night's main event. As I said, we're going to talk about that match, him and Gunther, talk about the legacy of John Cena, and then ultimately just what does it mean for Washington, D.C. to be the landing spot for the final match? Our expectations for that. And a little extra bonus, something I kind of threw in there as well, too. But yeah, I think it's just me and Sellers hanging out tonight. Thought some of the other fellas might join, but that's no here nor there. We'll get through for this hour worth of, I would say, John Cena talk tonight. But nonetheless, Sellers, how you doing tonight?
Good. I tried to dress up a little bit. I know Cena does his dress ups on his interviews, especially lately in the past year on his podcast or interviews that he does. So this is my tribute to John Cena. I said, let me dress up for our show.
Where's your jorts?
Yeah, they're not on. I got my dress pants on like that, but not the jorts. Not the jorts.
Yeah, you're gonna go full gimmick. Okay.
I should.
But nonetheless, listen, this Saturday night is going to be one hell of a time, and we'll talk about the match itself in a moment. But up and down this card of 4 matches, so I love me a good 4-match show. Again, I'm always going to tip the hat to my love for the NXT Black and Gold days and the Takeover days, and you just got 4 solid matches. And man, I get it that we got big main roster names on this, but if you sort of take a few of those names away, it certainly feels like that. Starting off with Cody Rhodes versus Oba Femi, Bailey versus Sol Ruka, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans and Leon Slater, and then obviously the main attraction, maybe not the main event, in John Cena versus Gunther. Couple of things to tackle here. First and foremost, where should that match be? John Cena versus Gunther. There's been rumors that's going to open up, but is that the right call? I mean, first and foremost, let's just say this. And I talked a little bit about the other week about John Cena opening up Madison Square Garden was the right call to really set the tone. But as good as this card is, I think you got to really look at the build of things here, because tickets are through the roof, and a lot of people I know spoke to a lot of people personally saying they can't go. They wish they could go. They're hoping something happens at the last minute so that they can get an opportunity to go, right? So everybody's all coming because of how much John Cena meant to them, from, the folks that say they remember when he first debuted, from us that's seen every iteration and every era of John Cena. Feels like it's just only fitting to be there to support and to see him out. And with the main attraction, the main entree here, I don't know if I totally agree with it being first, if it is going to be first. But at the same time, if he comes out first, does he set the tone for the night? Do people get the tears out the way? Do they give him, or how should they handle it? It's a lot to really make it at. But I'll throw it to you. And really quickly, well, hello to you as well too, and anybody that is joining us, be sure to join us in the chat. Let us know your thoughts about our discussion. We will absolutely be looking in the chat and be reading comments all night. But yeah, talk to me, man. What do you think?
I think now the rumor being, I guess, going first, I'm thinking that's just a test bait. I'm trying to think about if they put it out there just to see the reaction. Hey, if we book this with John Cena being first, what would the reaction be? And I think that's what those rumors are probably coming out to be, just a little test bait. I think absolutely this match has to close the show. And if my rumors are correct, there's no time limit on this broadcast, even though normally Saturday night my main event is 2 hours. It's on Peacock and NBC. But I think if it goes to 2.5, 2:15, especially only having 4 matches, I think they have to close the show with this, because if you open up with John Cena and Gunther on this show of how emotional it could be, how this match could be, the rest of the show may just fall flat. And I think what this show needs to be is a tribute to the future of what's coming up. And I think that's why you see the match being booked the way it is, in regards to leading up to thank you for ending this generation of what we have in John Cena, what he's done, I guess, since 2002 in WWE, and what he's done, just being on that main roster, and what he's done for generations of people, generations older than us, generations younger than us, about what he's done to wrestling. I think you have to give him that tribute, because when you look at the ticket prices of the show, being in the nation's capital here in DC, it's like a mini WrestleMania. And this is like a mini WrestleMania that's going to be, the last thing before, okay, let's go now to the road to WrestleMania, where you're going to really start kicking into gear what these next generation of storylines will be. So I think the only thing you can do is close the show. If this opens the show, I just don't think it's going to go over well for the things that follow up. It's going to be too much of a tough act to follow.
Oh man, I can't tell you how much of everything you said I disagree.
Really? Really?
The mini WrestleMania thing almost made me throw up, dude. Like,
hey, I'm just saying.
I'll talk about that a little bit later in terms of expectation of DC. But listen, I was with you for a little bit here, because I think this card is a display of the future. And honestly, kind of looking at this card here, Cody Rhodes, is the champion, and he is now the face of WWE, which has been passed off, I would say, not, sort of saying in the passing of the torch from Cena, but nonetheless inheritedly from Cena. And AJ Styles is out the door next year as well too. And obviously what AJ Styles have been doing right now with Dragon League, giving him that rub, giving him a little bit more of that American exposure, and obviously anything close to AJ is going to be, I'll just say it, phenomenal. But also just take a look at all the other names here. Javon Evans, future. Leon Slater, future. So Ruka, future. Oba Femi, future. So I don't necessarily think John Cena and Gunther going first means the rest of the card is doomed, because anywhere you put near Javon Evans is going to be a problem. And that's the thing. You have to say, where do we feel the slump in momentum? And I don't see it. Cody Rhodes is going to get a pop strictly off of his intro. But also too, he's the champion, and Cody Rhodes is a good wrestler. But Oba Femi, everybody's gonna be like, who the hell is this beast? And he's gonna go crazy. So Ruka, if you haven't seen her, sucks for you, but yes, what she's going to bring. And Bayley, I has always said, is the best dance partner in all of WWE. Any match you put with Bayley, she's going to make the other talent look good, as polished and as clean and is just of a good wrestler, and different characters she's been. Bayley don't miss. That's just what it is. And I even said that in an earlier episode about who was it? Somebody that was in the Royal Rumble who was just struggling. Oh, it was Maxine Dupree. And I was like, yo, Bayley is saving her life right now. Like,
I guess that's why she's the Intercontinental Champion, thanks to Bayley.
I don't know if I go that far, but I will say, like, Bayley's definitely just been somebody, like, if you need somebody that's going to be able to work your talent to make sure they look good, Bayley's that for the women. And I would say for guys, I would say somebody like Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is somebody who just is great, no matter who it is. And I would go as Pac in AEW. There's a lot of people, but the bar is Bayley in the women's division. And then Gunther. We all know he's going to be hard hitting. He's old school, classic looking wrestler. you see him, you hear a chop, you know it's going to be the real deal. And it's John Cena who all eyes are going to be on. And obviously, we're going to be looking for John Cena to play tribute to all his different rivalries that he had over the years. He's going to hit all his moves. Yes, he has the 5 moves of doom, but I expect him to go deep in the bag. I think we're going to get about 10 for this one. So I don't see any fall off on this card. So I don't necessarily think it's doing a disservice of making it first. But I do worried about when the cameras go off. And we know Cody Rhodes can take the crowd home. We certainly know John Cena can take the crowd home. But I also think we are owed a moment to send John Cena off.
Thank you, Cena's. Thank you, Cena's.
To everybody's, is blue in the face at this rate. And I think if you allow him to come first, that means we have to fit that in before another match. And I don't think the match itself is the issue. I do think to be able to reel the crowd back in after that, because no one's going to be sitting. No one's not going to be chanting. No one's not going to be, for all the reactors out there and the overly emotional people that's going to be probably looking for their camera time. The dramatics will be in the building, but there also will be very sincere feelings.
Yeah.
From that to whatever that was afterwards is the issue. How to reel people back in. And that's what I don't necessarily see. I mean, unless you put Cody immediately after them, because Cody's music and intro is something that, if it's not Jey Uso, it's like, all right, well, you hear that, you're just locked back in. Nobody else really has that. Like, everybody else is just great talent, great character. But like, yeah, it's that sort of transition I'm a little bit concerned of. But like, yeah, just for my prediction of this, like the match needs to go last. It's 100% needs to be last. It's the reason people are spending all the money that they're spending. So if they don't, regardless of time limit and whatever it may be, I just don't understand how you could ever think it opening makes sense. No. And I don't think John Cena's, I mean, the press and tour, whatever he has to do, he's been doing all that right now.
Yeah.
He's not doing no press on Sunday. So what he getting out early for? You know what I mean?
Right.
And if he somehow, some way needs to get something, he'll have a private jet. If it ain't WWE, if it ain't the president, somebody's going to make sure he gets to where he needs to go. Like, it's no concern on logistics here. He's not going to DCA or BWI and like, oh man, I'm gonna miss my 11 p.m. flight tonight, man. So I don't know.
And I would even say this too. Just imagine of adding to that, leaving sneakers, the wristbands, headbands, all in the ring. And even if the whole locker room, I'm talking about producers, wrestlers, people that came to visit, just want to witness and be a part of the locker room, or just backstage in Gorilla, just coming out and supporting that match. You got to think some type of ovation is going to be given towards him at the end. And it's nothing you can bring after that.
Yeah, I mean, and like, listen, please don't like let him do something and then he like comes back out. Like, just nail it on the first time. Don't be like, all right, we'll bring him back in afterwards. And I know like the pleasantries after the show goes off, I'm not even for that. Like, just do it right the first time. And I think having him go first just doesn't really set us up for that.
Absolutely.
That being said, now the match itself. Does he win? Does he lose? Does he tap out? Does he get pinned? Does it get dirty? Do you somehow throw us a bone to set something up for the future? Like, how do they properly handle this? And I'll just quickly say, if he says it's the last match and he's been very transparent about everything and said, like, this is my last match, that's what it is. Please don't hit us with a flare. I don't want all of this to lead to this moment, and then you somehow, some way come back. But if somehow, some way he did, it really, really needs to make sense. I mean, Gunther would need to have to catch a body in the ring, and it just would not have to sit right with everybody to the point where you're like, yo, blow this dude phone up. He needs to be on the level of how bad people want to see him Punk to come back.
Yes.
The only way it makes sense. And I mean, It has to be. I mean, and granted, if that's the case, it is 100% the main event of WrestleMania. Nothing overseas, nothing off brand. It would just have to make sense, which means you got a few months if you were going to do something like that. And I don't even know if I'm looking forward to that because I think the WrestleMania picture is shaping up pretty good thus far. But I mean, it would have to make sense. Like Gunther would have to catch a body for me to be like, all right, I know he said he's going to get a retirement, but like Gunther should be locked up right now for what he just did. But you tell me, what you think? Does he win? Does he lose? How did they book this?
So I think, and if we know John Cena the way he knows, he's a very business-oriented person who's about WWE first, about what is the best outcome or story that you're going to tell. And I think with this story, he's had a journey where he's had some ups, he had some downs, and now we're coming around the turn where he's had his 17, never seen 17. He is now, a Grand Slam because he has an Intercontinental Championship. He did lose a few matches going through that way because, of course, he lost to Dom, put Dom over. He lost to Cody, put Cody over to give them their respective reigns right now. But I think if you really close this story, and I think John Cena was very strategic about who he wanted to have in this last match. And I think win or lose, Gunther will not suffer if he wins. Or, I mean, of course, he won't suffer if he wins, but if he loses, he won't suffer either. And I think when you have a match like this, you need to tell the story and win. And I got to give it to Gunther because now he's trying to sell a story. A guy that says he will never give up, I'm going to make him give up. And because of what Gunther does in the ring, like you said, the old school style, he'll do the chops, he'll put the holds on and things of that nature. You're going to see John Cena look like he is almost going to tap out. John Cena may look bruised or battered in a certain way. His chest may get red. But I think John Cena finds a way to win and go over top and says, guys, I gave it all I had. This is all I have left. I can't do anymore. And I'm going to leave on a win. And that way, that may be, like you said, if he's true about his words of what he says he wants to do, if he's true about his words about, hey, this is it. And even in one recent interview, he's like, man, I'm 48 years old. I'm getting old. I got to get these opportunities going off Hollywood and things of that nature. And I just can't be in this scenario where my insurance is getting expensive, where I can't even, worry about getting hurt in WWE and mess up opportunities outside. I think this is it. This is where you close the door to win. But once again, it does not make Gunther look bad. Gunther's already been a world champion twice. Gunther's going to be fine. I just think Cena needs that dance partner that's going to finish that story of proving what type of wrestler he is before he stops. But he ends in a pin count, 1, 2, 3, maybe a couple of attitude adjustments to finish it off after coming over a struggle with some holds and maybe a close to tapping out. But I put Cena over on this one.
All right. So really quickly, this short answer here was Gunther the right decision here for the final match?
I don't know if he was the right decision because I think if you really want to put somebody over that's the next generation, I honestly probably, for me, if I was the vote, I would have put Obafemi as the person to take Cena as the next person.
I said that before too. It's interesting because Gunther's only 10 years younger than Cena, so it's not really like this next generation. So I think that whole narrative kind of goes away. And let's see how old Obafemi is.
I'm gonna guess 28.
27. It's 27.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it checks, and I agree by that narrative. And that's what I thought the term was all about. But also, I started to think about like storylines that had already been in place. So, when we first was making our prediction, I said Obafemi would be great. Edge is a no-brainer if they're able to make that work. I also like Kevin Owens being full circle if he could have got healthy, But Gunther is a wrestler we respect. I think, as you mentioned, and I will also double down, that Gunther win or loss is still respected. And I think he's not looking for mainstream attention. I think he just wants to go out there and prove that he's the best wrestler. We're not going to forget, like, Gunther did not tap out earlier this year, and he was looking very weak and unconfident, and it didn't hurt his image because he just snapped back into it and got the going.
Yep.
So I honestly, this gonna sound kind of crazy. I feel like John Cena picking Gunther was nothing but some type of like random ass fetish of torture, because it's like, I don't necessarily know how you say I look at this roster and I pick Gunther. If you wanted to work a match with Gunther, it should have just been slotted in there at some point. I'm not mad at it because I like to see Gunther wrestle anybody. But as the last match, I don't think I'm going to look back in 10 years and be like, yeah, I'm very glad he did that. Over Femi, I see that a lot different. Oba goes over, or he sends Oba to the ultimate task. He gives him the rub. His career goes to the moon.
Yep.
Cody Rhodes is probably going to end up doing that that night. That's how I look at that. But Gunther getting the rub from John Cena, he won't accept it. I don't expect him as a true heel to take it to take any type of flowers. I expect much like what Gunther does. He wins, he's out the ring. Yep. If he loses, he's also still out the ring. He's not taking no handshake, not taking no respect. I just don't see that for the character. But then again, I seen him being unconfident and sort of a wimp earlier this year, and I definitely didn't think that was within the Gunther character. And I'm glad they got rid of that as soon as they could.
Yep.
So I don't hate the match. I just don't like that the match is the final match. I think there could have been other and better decisions there. Because Cena's going to sell, and Cena is 100% the reason why the ticket prices. Well, he's 85% the reason why. I'll take that back. He's 45% because the other
down.
Yeah. The other 55% is where it's at. It's in DC, and I'm telling y'all right now, as us from being from DC, it has nothing to do with us in DC. I will get to that in a minute, but yeah. So quick predictions for the card, really quickly. Just there's 4 matches. So I'm just curious to see who you think going to go over. I think Cody wins, give Oba a nice rub. Yeah. I think I don't know about Bayley and Soruka. I think Bayley should win, but
Soruka was win.
But she's also kind of a little bit hurt too.
She's also
just right, but she also just did the Iron Survivor match. So I expect her to get very close, but no cigar. But I don't know. Man, if they pull the trigger on Javon Evans and Leon Slater, I ain't gonna be mad one bit, bro.
They put on the show, but I don't think they're gonna do it.
I mean, at this point now, it becomes the AJ Styles retirement tour, so you got to kind of break him out of this tag team at some point. So could this be the reason why? And then for Cena and Gunther, man, I don't know, dude. I mean, Gunther catching the body and then somehow cues up Cena down the line for something else. Sure, maybe we'll see. I can see Gunther just talking trash about Cena for months about beating him, and then some reason Gunther doesn't have a match for WrestleMania. And could you imagine like the music hit and he comes out, man? You're not going to be mad at all with that one. But yeah, I just think that it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I'm just going to go off the limb and say it depends on where the match is placed. If it's at the end, I got Cena. If it's in the beginning, I got Gunther.
I can agree with that. Now, let me ask this, because you made an interesting point really quickly. When you think about some of the grand finales of matches or quote-unquote retirement matches at the time, because like you said, Ric Flair kind of doesn't count because he always had the retirement match and the last match. But when you think about Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, you think about Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and then when you think about, I'm going to put Goldberg, Gunther, and then, of course, Cena, Gunther. Of course, it's different tiers, but what would you say has been the best retirement match, in-ring storytelling that you saw that was appropriate for that person?
I got to think a little bit here, but wasn't it The Undertaker who retired Shawn Michaels?
Yes, Undertaker did retire Shawn Michaels, yes.
Yeah, well, you find me anything close to that.
Yep.
And I know it was tarnished a little bit by the Saudi Arabia stuff, but yeah, that. And I would even say, wasn't Flair retired?
Flair was retired by Shawn Michaels originally.
Yeah. And then
that was a great match. It was a great match.
And then the last one I'll say is the WCW retirement match. The Sting and Flair with Shane McMahon basically being that. Like the emotions for those things. Like they were good storytelling. You're not getting that with this. You're getting brutality. And so last thing I'm going to say really quickly is I definitely don't expect John Cena to have top tier storytelling in this. The one thing about John Cena that I realized is John Cena, as when we were kids, he really catered to us, and we got adults and we started to hate him, but we respected him as a person because we knew all the good charitable stuff that he's been doing. And he's just been somebody that we sort of matured with and sort of through and sort of over time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you kind of look back and realize like Cena has always been for the kids. That's why he's been the face of WWE, because when the E was strictly for entertainment and it was really about the family friendly content, it was all Cena.
Yep.
And I don't think Cena ever there was never a need for him to go heel, because heel would have been for us, not for the kids. And that's completely indicative for what he stands for.
Correct.
And whatnot, right? So I say that to say, because him really having this demo for the kids, like a lot of the in-ring storytelling is very superficial. It's to the likes of us. You know, a lot of the kiddish things we believed in when we were younger, and we thought it was so real, and they were such a threat, or they were such a big mean and baddie, when you allowed your mind to extend the disbelief for everything.
100%.
So I say that to say, when it comes down to this match that we're going to get, when we get Super Cena, it's going to look hella corny. It's not going to be timed correctly. It's not going to have perfect build. It's not going to be the sort of the formality and the storytelling that it should be in terms of cinema.
Yeah,
it will be certainly for the kids. He will take 10 chops. He will be on the ground, absolutely grasping for air, and Super Cena comes out. He pats his chest. The S comes out, or the C comes out, and he's a couple of FUs. And then that's it, you know. And I think the kids are going to go over with it, and so I am not expecting a great match here. I am expecting a match that will probably frustrate me as an adult. But if I allow my little kid to come out, I expect a good time. I hope nobody else is going in there thinking we're about to get Kenny Omega versus Okada.
Remember, it is Saturday night main event.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about legacy here now.
Yeah.
Because Cena's considered the greatest of all time. That's not only just a consideration, but a little bit of the gimmick right now as well, too. Yeah. The last real champion. Does that statement make you cringe at all? You agree with it? You allow it? And ultimately, beyond living in the moment, do you see that statement still being true 10 years from now?
I think it's going to have to remain what it is right now, because you got to see who's going to be that next person that's going to overtake Cena. And let's back up a little bit on legacy, right? So when we think about, let's go back to WWF. When you think about WWF, who was that golden child during that time? It was Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan's name carried a long time as far as that one superstar that when you talk about wrestling and your uncle or your aunts or your grandparents who watch wrestling, they was like, oh, I remember when I watched it, Hulk Hogan was there. Now that name has now become John Cena. And John Cena is going to be of our generation, where he's like, yeah, I remember when I was young and I watched John Cena. That's why I started loving wrestling. That's the name now. We don't know who's going to be that next person. It could be somebody that's active wrestling now. It could be somebody that's upcoming in the future. But I think for this generation of where we are, this can kind of compare to where we are with the Michael Jordan and LeBron James era, right? We grew up on the Michael Jordan era because that's what our greatest that we've seen. Our parents or our grandparents grew up on like the Bird versus Magic era because that's what they saw during that time. But this generation is the John Cena, LeBron James era. This is the who they think is the greatest of all time, because this is the people that with John Cena been, you know, he's 48, been wrestling for about 30 years. These are guys that are younger than us that's seen him, you know, throughout their whole time when he was a kid. So saying he is the last real champion, I think that is going to carry with this generation for a while. We may be, you know, dealing with us in our 60s, you know, before we see what happens next, but I think it's appropriate right now because he's the first one to 17, and he's the first one that's the Grand Slam of 17. So it's just appropriate for what he is now because of what he's done, like you said, inside the ring, outside the ring, how he's a tribute to kids, what he's done with, you know, the Make-A-Wish Foundations, what he's done in making movies and bringing up what he is. He's done a lot of that to bring the global society of what WWE is. Like when you think about it, he's kind of the reason for what the WWE network started. He's kind of the reason where you see how we've transitioned to Peacock and the ESPN app now. He's really transcended, you know, through almost, you could say 3 different decades about what he's done in wrestling. But when it all comes down and say to it, do I think he's the greatest of all time? Really? I don't think so.
So who is?
You already know who I'm going to say. I'm going to say my man, Mr. Kennedy. I'm just kidding.
Boy.
Honestly, when I think about pound per pound, really of what he's done, and he's not even a Hall of Famer yet. I really think The Rock is still, to me, the best of all time because of what he's done as his ring style, what he's done as his ring awareness, his character building, how he's transcended his character through different phases of what he did from Rocky Maivia to what he's doing with the Nation, and now how he's tiered his different Rock personalities from in-ring and post-ring career. I just think he has the biggest range. I don't think The Rock will get the biggest accolades like a Hulk Hogan or John Cena, but when you put The Rock in the ring with anybody, I mean, with anybody from Road Dogg to Hulk Hogan to John Cena, it's rarely that you will ever get a bad Rocky match for how he sells, his story that he tells in the ring, and how he moves and how he talks and sells the story. I honestly, and will give it to The Rock as probably my favorite of all time.
Okay. Let's see. All right. First and foremost, let's get break this week. Forget all that. Let's just continue the conversation going. And anybody listening to us, be a part of the conversation. Join us in the chat, whether you watch us on YouTube or any other video streaming platforms right now. John Cena, the greatest of all time. I do not mind his name being attached to that. Championships
for sure.
100%. Accolades, yeah, he's done it all. He's done literally everything. And sure, if surprise Flair name hasn't came up here, but here's what I'm going to say. We're in a very different landscape of pro wrestling, and when you have AEW there, where people are building accolades there, such as Grand Slam champions as well there, or you've also held both world champions on both sides. Somebody like the likes of Jericho. You start to really dive deep into this rabbit hole of like, all right, what actually makes somebody the greatest of all time? But I do think when you talk about this generation, they will take a look at who was born and bred through the WWE system. And when you say you're not necessarily sure who that next person is, well, yeah, it is you may not see it just yet, but there is inklings of people who could be it. Javon Evans, Femi, Soruka, these people that are purely from the WWE system that's going to, per their loyalty and per their work ethic, will go to the moon, because that's what WWE can do with characters and talent. So there doesn't necessarily looks like who's that next Cena, and that's fine because nobody necessarily needs to be the next Cena. But for us as the viewers, the audience, we say like, who is going to be that next person? Definitively, we understand is great and is greatness and will be in GOAT talk somewhere down the line. And yes, there's definitely a few folks you can kind of look around at for there. But as far as Cena, I mean, I wasn't always a fan, and I even remember the college days where I kind of wasn't a fan of pro wrestling just because of how much Cena we were getting.
Oh, 100%.
But let's just say he carried this company on his back. He has waved his flag through in and throughout, the impact both in and out of the ring, the longevity, the will and enthusiasm to return. Not just because Hollywood wasn't going a certain way, because I don't think he really stumbled in Hollywood. I think there was endless opportunity. There's continue to be endless opportunities for him, but he still came back to the people. He has, and I think when you talk about greatest of all time, well, there's no one that's granted more wish than this guy. So literally is the greatest of all time for Make-A-Wish. I think, yeah, I think it's safe and it's comfortable to put him in that discussion.
Yeah,
I would also put in that discussion Flair in there. I would also put Sting in that conversation. I know because y'all like not the accolades and all this other stuff, but who carried WCW?
It was Sting. It was Sting.
And it's the same thing with Cena. He literally carried this company when others dropped off. And I know we could talk about The Rock and the Austins and so on, but injury or opportunity has, cut their careers short. But Cena was there. And I believe, what has it been, 26 years? Is that right?
Yep.
Let me make sure I'm politically correct. 26 years of Cena constantly being a household name, constantly top 10 matches, constantly in the main event, constantly being somebody that's always at the tip of your tongues. Whether you're talking about how he buried the young talent, or you see now him making good with all the young talent, giving him wisdom and this being available. Like, hey, at the end of the day, what he did in the ring was the character. What we did outside the ring, no one ever had a bad thing to say, except for maybe on Total Divas. But but he did it. He did it. And I think like it's safe to, it's very safe and comfortable to be like, yeah, he's the greatest of all time, and nobody's going to slap your hand. It's the same like you saying LeBron or Kobe or Jordan or Steph Curry, you know, another person you just, maybe he's in that conversation, maybe he's not, but you're not gonna be mad to be like, Steph Curry, what do you mean? Like, excuse me? Like, so Mount Rushmore for sure.
Who just, you know, as a pivot, who would be your Mount Rushmore of your top 4?
It's crazy to say this, but I am going to say it, and this is kind of a little bit of maybe an unpopular opinion, but it is Flair, it is Cena, it is Jericho, and it is Sting.
I would say mine is Taker, Cena, Rock. And you know what? I'm gonna put Jericho over Stone Cold.
Yeah, and the only other pivot I would make there is, if not Jericho, Rey Mysterio. Yeah, so and I attest mine to the influence to the company, the workhorses, and just like the cultural impact. You know, these people that superseded outside the ring. Like, you know, it is one thing to do the work in the ring, but like to be relatable way outside of it. Like when you were a kid, everybody knew who Rey Mysterio was. Everybody knew the Lion Tamer. Everybody know the Tony Schiavone, it's Sting, you know. And at the end of the day, you can't see me. Like, everybody knows John Cena, and he's everywhere you go. Which brings me to my next question here. Cena is hanging it up this Saturday. Oh, Cupcake, you got a new name? Okay.
I thought it was Cupcake. I was just wondering because
same. Do you think there's going to be a void with Cena gone? Will you miss Cena in the ring? What's sort of been your emotional sort of expectations with when it's said and done on Saturday?
I think if this was 10 years ago, I would have some emotional impacts. Like, man, this guy never talked about ever leaving. He was there every week, regardless of what he was doing. He felt like he was always on the show, always there, always part of a mega storyline. But I think within the last 5 years or so, we kind of got used to Cena not being a part of it. So it's like we're kind of used to it already. You have now seen slowly but surely new people coming up. Seth Rollins, more recently, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, who are now taking those reigns, CM Punk returning, even a Braun Breaker and a Bronson Reed definitely coming through now as being those new top tier guys, where you see how wrestling is now trending to a different style of what we have now. Even when Cena was at the top of his game, because the way Cena, Punk, Edge were all wrestling about 10, 15 years ago, it's not the type of wrestling that we see now. It's a little bit different. So it's kind of like bittersweet when you see like the guy that's on this last leg and everything. Like, I'm going to miss, and I will remember everything, and I appreciate what he did. But it's like, it's time for a new generation. I think a perfect comparison of this is Tim Duncan. If you are a basketball fan and like Tim Duncan, he was probably one of the greatest basketball players of all time that had a very particular way of playing. And you don't see it, so you miss that old school big man back to the basket, but that's not what the game is anymore.
Listen, Mr. Fundamentals.
Mr. Fundamentals, like everything off the backboard and everything. And that's what Cena was in wrestling in a way. But now you see more high-flying things, more athleticism that comes with wrestling now. And this is a little different game.
Let me jump in there, because I do think that it's not that wrestling started trending towards like being more risque.
Yeah.
And, people are like doing more things they had done because I go back to the WCW days. A lot of what we have seen, Billy Kidman, Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, all these folks was Juventud. They were down there going
you got to put Juventud in there.
You already know. But I think what Cena did create is normalizing working a safe program, letting the character really be the focus.
Very true.
People did adapt to that. The Miz has had and will continue to have a very successful career by clearly looking up to his mentor.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
100%. But I agree. I think that Cena is somebody like a Tim Duncan where like you acknowledge, you respect. When Tim Duncan retired, for me, I was happy because I was like, oh, good. The Spurs can stop being in championship contention and we can stop getting Spurs and Pistons and people just play good team basketball. We can get back to the razzle dazzle flashy stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to respect what he's done and what he and how he played this game. And I think like Cena, it is that. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with how he ran his program and he stayed safe and the longevity that he's had because of that. But I don't think like his style was like almost like a pivot. I think he just figured out what works and people saw it, respected it, and said, I'm going to start to do that too. Because like even before like the WCW days, you go way back to like the old school era, the territory days, people were killing each other out there because we got to make it look real. And making it look real was very unsafe. So really quickly go to Cupcake here. So my Mount Rushmore is superstar Billy Graham, Bruno Sammartino, Ernie Ladd, Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, the character, I will say, is 100% for every good guy that we always talk about. It doesn't work without the corporate Vince McMahon and then who got the grapefruits. But so cool. So talk to his legacy. I think there was something else I wanted. Oh, I know I was going to say. So yeah, when it's all said and done, listen, it's going to be sad to see him hang it up. But listen, he got to do it on his terms. We get to see it go out in his fashion. We actually get to see it because that has been something we have not got to see for greatness. And for all sorts of different reasons, people don't get to exit the way that they should intend on being exited. And Goldberg almost didn't get his moment, you know what I mean? And Sting got his, and we'll probably get to see AJ, and we'll probably end up seeing Jericho down the line as well too. But there's also been a lot of greatness that we didn't get to see, and I mean, like for all sorts of different reasons. But Eddie Guerrero is one that career and life was cut short. So I'm not mad at that. However, I won't miss him because he's going nowhere. He'll be back in the back. We'll see him probably in a Bobby Roode capacity at sometimes producing, but he's also going to be in Hollywood, still very much thriving, and he will be there, and we will be like, you know what, good for him. He's thriving. He will still probably do podcasts, probably still have all his wrestling connections, and people talk about life after wrestling. Who knows what he'll endeavor he pick up next? Maybe he'll do something like the Undertaker next. Who knows? But I'm not missing him, and good for him going out on his terms, but him not being 100%. In the ring, not missing anything. Will he be back in the ring? Sure, he's going to come out to special WrestleMania openings and anniversary shows. A host, he'll do something. We'll definitely have a little bit of more of You Can't See Me, get the crowd going and so on. So, the Money Moolah Gang. What's good with y'all? What's good with you? Thanks for coming through. And again, everybody that's joining, definitely just come through, be a part of the conversation, get in the chat. Yeah, he did sign an ambassador. I didn't state it as such, but like, yeah, he's still very much. And to be clear, ambassador deal is essentially the deal that Titus O'Neil has, where you're doing community work, you represent WWE. And it's not just in the sense of like, I work there so I can like put them on my back and just say whatever I want to say. Like, no, I think this is more or less a contract that legally allows you to wave the flag and to promote, to probably negotiate things, to go out there and, be a martyr of the brand without it being like you're overstepping or you're doing too much and so on. So, it could be one of those type of things. You see Cena and somebody wants to engage in how they can do something with TKO and WWE, and Cena like, yeah, I can make that connection happen. And then Cena can go to the trips and say, hey, here's a good idea, I think. So I mean, I would imagine TKO is also going to probably take a look at how Cena can get involved in certain aspects
going to be
of
in
this too.
some type of aspect as well, because like you said, his
If
name,
you,
his face.
if you got the Rock, if you got the Rock on the board, I 100% see them be like, yeah, somehow, some way, get the Cena guy up there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Endless pits of knowledge in both ends, not just in wrestling, but in entertainment and growth and life after wrestling. You know what I mean? So developmental coaching, which goes across the board for everything. Because what about the people in the UFC that like, what do I do after I get my face beat for 10 years? Where do I go next? You know what I mean? And I think, you know, Cena could be a good testament saying, here's your options. You know what I mean? Maybe wrestling isn't so bad of an idea for you, you know, whatever it could be. But won't miss him per se in the ring. He'll still be around. We won't get a chance to miss him because he's only now going to get bigger and better opportunities in Hollywood and other endeavors that are probably just waiting and so on. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Coming back to a few questions real quick. Cena will get all of you, and I am really hoping not.
Not me.
What do you think WWE is missing to go to that casual audience back now that Cena's left? Letting Cena go after the casual audience. That's what I think. I think that Cena, matter of fact, Rey Mysterio has to officially retire at some point too, or which I would imagine.
He's a Hall of Famer before he even retired.
Yeah. So I said that to say, like, these cultural, impactful players that they have, they'll get them out there, out in the field, doing what they need to do. But I also don't think there's a lot of work to be done because with the WWE ID program working in the indies, getting the independent talent through the system. But then you have the what's the collegiate program that they got?
Oh, yeah. I forgot the title of it, but yes, because that's how Lash Legend got in, you know.
Right. So like you see another avenue for people to kind of get through. And then you're seeing them at like places like Fanatics Fest, and you're seeing the integration and everything they do. Like wrestling, we've always known it to be cool, but like it's truly cool now. Like no one's getting beat up in school for liking wrestling. No one has to hide from their significant others like they like wrestling. But everybody knows what it is, exactly what it is. So I do not think at this point there is a measure of work Cena needs to be done, but I do think that Cena being out in the field definitely opens up more opportunity for people to engage in terms of how to make that next step, what to do.
And also to add to that too, like when you think about just the availability of what media is now and the streaming platforms that are on there. So when you think about Netflix Unreal announcing that's going to be season 2 in January, you're going to have avenues like that where you'll have your casual fans like, hey, what is this? And you see some behind the scenes stuff about what wrestling is. And that may get that casual viewer. Or if you got the ESPN app or you're already paying for it, oh, what's this wrestling thing? I'll just watch and put it on. You'll just have people casually watching that. I think the availability of what's on the social platforms and streaming platforms is just going to bring that natural immediate audience, because you put something on TikTok and if you scroll and you see that for 6 to 10 seconds, somebody's going to get intrigued and that's going to bring something to the product.
You cool with Cena having a podcast?
I'm cool with Cena having a podcast, but will I listen to it? It depends on how his style. I'd rather listen to somebody else's podcast interviewing him because I would love to hear the stories he has.
Well,
him posting it,
he's getting milk dry right now. So, okay, would you cool with him doing like a show like The Undertaker, which basically is not comedy, but it's like storytelling?
I think he can do something like that. I think I probably would like him in more of that atmosphere because he's a natural. I want to say this. He's a natural actor, so that way he can give up some type of theme or you know, to a show. That I think he'll be better with that instead of just a general podcast. Like when you listen to Cena talk, he doesn't have that voice as like, okay, let me listen to you for an hour because you're going to be talking about something interesting. But he is a storyteller where if he's like engaging in something like what The Undertaker does, or maybe what Sami Zayn did during WrestleMania weekend, that's something that he could probably get on, you know.
Yeah. Cena is terrible on Wipeout. Yeah. Also, Wipeout was just kind of very corny, and it's crazy to be more cornier than Cena. Yeah. All right, well, listen, let's talk because we got one, maybe two more topics to go. So let's be quickly with this one. It comes to Washington D.C., nation's capital, our home, which is interesting because, like, if I had to put this in the city, there's no way in hell I'm saying Washington D.C. is going to win this, but here we are, and it will be at the Capital One Arena where the horrible Washington Wizards play. I don't even know what the records are. Let's see what the Wizards record is.
I think they got 3 wins. 3 wins and 25. I'm gonna say 3 and 24. And I used to have season tickets. So
I didn't know that. The 3 and 19. I did not know you had season tickets. You don't have it no more? I'll go to a game.
I gave them up. I gave them up.
I hear that.
I'll try to get them back, but maybe not now.
Horrible.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, for the whole night, and just to kind of give you a little bit of what the plans are. So from 2:30 to 6, we got the Fan Fest. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute.
Yep.
And then I believe if that's from 6, that will possibly mean that check-in and doors open up at 6 for the Saturday night's main event, which is at Capital One Arena. If you've never been to Capital One Arena, it's not the most state-of-the-art arena, but there is plenty to do there. There's bars, lounge, cashless areas. There's surrounding food places and options as well too. It's a safe environment if you've never been. If you're traveling in, the metro station is literally right connected to it. Parking probably isn't an option. Uber will probably smack heads. So make your way through the train, and it is mad brick out here. So bundle up. But they're talking really quickly about the Fan Fest from 2:30 to 6. So there's going to be food trucks with all the Washington D.C. favorites. Now, I could, for the sake of time, I mean, I can't, for the sake of time, go down and give you some options there. But I will tell you this: I promise you, this is going to sound crazy. Before you eat at any food truck, just do a quick Google. That would be my advice. That would be my advice. I have tried to tell you because that's all I'm gonna say. Of course, they're gonna have the WWE and Fanatics official merchandise trailer. You know, all the different trailers that they have. There'll probably be multiples around outside before you can actually get inside and get it as well too. Probably all the same stuff. Which I think if there is a local Washington D.C. Cena shirt, I will definitely be getting that. There's a sign making station for fans to create custom farewell messages. There will be a photo and video booths for fans to send personal goodbyes to John Cena, which I would imagine John Cena is going to watch each and every one of these. Yep. And if he don't, he'll have an agent, a secretary, or whatever manager kind of weave through it, or maybe AI just gets involved to make sure there's no BS. Because I tell you, the moment you give humans technology to do cool things, people start doing some crazy things, like that portal that was like from what was it, like Tokyo, Japan to from somewhere, and people were like doing all so. And then there's going to be live music and entertainment by my homegirl Brittany Waters and DJ Heat. They are your official host for not only just the Wizards but all DC sports. Well, I don't think she does the Commanders, but anything that's happening down in DC proper.
She's legit.
Yeah. And Brit's a big wrestling fan. She's I can't even imagine. I probably should check in, but I can't even imagine understanding you got the duty of getting the vibes right along with DJ Heat for Cena's last match. So good for her. And she's also on the morning news channel as well too. But with that being said, I don't expect DC to do anything else outside this block. Now, first of all, where this is going to be at, there's also a Christmas market out there too. And so I just imagine that just coincidentally just works in their favor, but I don't necessarily think there's been like a concise discussion of saying, we need y'all to be prepared for WWE. So here's what I'm going to say, because this is why I say I almost choke when you say WrestleMania. Hell no. I do not think they're doing anything out of the blue and ordinary to make this more heightened for Cena in DC. Do not expect that at all. I think you're just going to get billboard signage. That's it. I don't even see banners going throughout the cities. I don't know. Maybe I'll check tomorrow. Or maybe some people probably got online, right? But I do not expect anything out of the ordinary. I just don't see it happening. I do not see DC. Matter of fact, for me in DC don't necessarily ever turn up for anything except for if it's something political, like something in the Water for Rail Festival was here. That kind of came in and out of the city. I thought that was a little bit of a big deal. I don't know. We get smaller film festivals. We get auto shows. We got conventions, anime conventions, nerd and pop culture conventions. We just don't really turn up for events, and I don't expect this to be anything outside of the ordinary of it aesthetically looking like a regular show.
The only reason why I would say it might be a mini WrestleMania, only reason I think you'll have more international people coming in from Europe and things of that nature to come to this last match. So the fans itself, as far as the energy, that may be a WrestleMania-esque. But like you said, the city, I don't think is going to do anything major. Just the fans.
My last comment with this is that, listen, I know everybody's complaining about the ticket sales, and I've said it before, so I'm just going to say it again now that we got to the very end of this, and we're just about to be at the show, which I will be at the show, so definitely stay eyes to all of the socials for all the coverage from that. I definitely will not be outside at the Fan Fest from 2:30. If that is outside, I'm not. Well, it is outside because it said food truck, so it's definitely outside. You know what I think it's going to be? I think they're going to block off in front of Capital One Arena
on 7th Street or the cross,
the main entrance side.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I think they're going to block off that side.
They normally do that for Wizards games.
Yeah, I expect them to block that off, which is and again, they normally do it for Wizards games, and they're not out the ordinary. And they probably solicit for food trucks to be around. Which, if they're soliciting food trucks, they're clearly telling you don't eat inside Capital One Arena. But I will be at class.
Hookups there. I know some hookups there. Yeah,
give me that.
I got you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be at class though. We'll get my wings from class. But
there you go. Good move.
I just I don't expect anything out of it. But here's what I'm gonna say. The reason why I don't think these tickets was ever for us, because if there's one thing you got to remember in everything that's happening right now is somehow, some way, Mr. in the White House seems to always have some type of input or influence or suggestions or accommodations for everything that's happening. We know TKO and Dana White are setting up the UFC on the lawn. I think because we don't really get a lot of pay-per-views or PLEs out in DC. I think this is just one of those perfect storms of saying, well, if you're going to have one on the biggest match, maybe he was a part of lobbying to get it here.
Oh, wait, was the last one Capital Punishment? Was the last one we had in DC Capital Punishment?
Wasn't that AEW?
No,
for WWE. Yeah,
for WWE.
Yeah. But I would imagine that this is going to be catering to all of the red ties and all his buddies and all those people that got that blue collar, high political reach in pockets. That's why the prices are, because they know they'll come. And it was like, yeah, we're doing this for John Cena. Everybody knows John Cena, his last match. And I think the ticket sales are catered to them. The accommodations are catered to them and their buddies. We already know that the director of the FBI, he's clearly a pro wrestling fan, and his girl is a pro wrestling fan. I would imagine him, his girl, and all of her friends are all going to be in some suite and stuff up there. I think that's why the ticket curve and the ticket price curve is the way it is, because it's not for the wrestling fan. This is a Saturday night outing for all the big political juggernauts, shall I say, in Washington, D.C., and they know they can make the money. TKO knows exactly what they're doing. They know the reach just as much as they know and what to expect for when it comes down to UFC on the White House lawn. I think it's almost, in a way, this is almost like a test run to kind of see what the playing field is, what they can, the expenditures are, and so on. And if some wrestling fans can sneak in there, so be it. But they're not thinking about us. Like, you can be mad at TKO all you want and WWE. I think this goes way above that, and I think there had been some type of like almost sort of a side little whisper of saying, WWE is going to be in DC, and it's John Cena match. And it's is it? All right, cool. All of us are coming down there. In fact, they all have lunch not that far from there regularly. So what's another little? I tell you what's going to be interesting. The motorcade that we see.
Yep.
The amount of black trucks, the amount of police presence. I think it's going to look real crazy outside. I think we're going to, and not the main side that we typically go on, but that other side, the
right by Clyde's,
the back side, the complete back side of that class
on the gallery place side.
No, on the opposite side. Yes,
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. I would imagine they're gonna have all that block and a straight little escort for it.
For sure.
That's just been my thought. Is that I think this is like, yeah, wrestling fans, if you can go good, families, if you can make it good, but this is for them, man. This is truly for the political folks, and that's where they're aiming towards, and they're hoping to get those dollars from. So
unfortunately, I won't be to go. I'm gonna be on the West Coast seeing my 49ers play. So I'll watch on TV.
Last question, we wrap it up right here now, is there's been a lot of tributes. There's been a lot of dedications. There's just been a lot of touchy moments headed towards Cena. Had there been anything that's sort of caught your eye in terms of how anybody has celebrated his legacy? Or sorts. Has there been anything that you sort of, it stuck with you a little bit?
Low key, I think The Miz did low key. I think The Miz, I think he should have had more opportunities to give to Cena during this retirement tour, but I guess it was just not enough time, or the story didn't match up and where The Miz was. I just always had big respect for Miz and what he did with John Cena, because John Cena kind of elevated The Miz when, like you said, that time John Cena wasn't really elevating a lot of people, but The Miz did get a WrestleMania win, like it or not, against Cena on the main event. So I just feel like The Miz owes a lot of appreciation to John Cena for really believing in him and working with him, especially when he was going through that, transcendent phase and became a world champion for the first time. But just The Miz.
Okay. I did like what Roman Reigns did, and it's as much as it is the tribal chief. I think, and through their run-ins over time, it's just good to kind of see somebody of his caliber to really let out the vulnerability to really show his appreciation towards.
That was Joe on that one. That wasn't Roman. That was Joe.
That's a fact. That is a fact. All right, we're done. That's it. Because now it is time to get there on Saturday. As told you, stay close to the socials. We're going to have all of the coverage from outside to inside to all that other good stuff. It's going to be a good time. If you're there, if you're coming in, give us a shout. Hit us in the DMs at Big O Bell across all social medias here. We'd love to catch up with some of you all listeners and whatnot. But yeah, I mentioned, if you're coming in town, it is.
Ooh, it's freezing.
Disrespectfully cold outside.
Don't play with it. Do not play with it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that would do it for tonight's show. Once again, across the board at Big O Bell, bigobell.com is where you can find us for all of your movies and television and entertainment coverage, all that other good stuff, pop culture, nerd culture. We got it all for you there. And we appreciate you all watching each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a few more before the end of the year, and then we hit our hiatus. But we'll have some announcements to make as we get closer to the year, and just stick around for that. But for this week's episode, for Sellers, for myself, we appreciate you watching, and we will see y'all back next week.
Thank you.
All I really need, that big old bell, big old bell.